Everyone told you that getting sober would give you your life back. And they weren't wrong. But here's what nobody mentioned. Getting your life back means you actually have to build one from scratch. That's the part that doesn't fit on a sobriety coin. When you were using, you had a role. Maybe it wasn't a good one, but it was yours. Your days had structure, even if that structure was chaos. There was something to chase, something to numb, something to hide. And then you stopped. And suddenly, who are you? Not who you were before the addiction. That version of you doesn't exist anymore. You've been through too much. Not who you were during it. You're working hard to leave that behind. So who are you now? That gap between the person you were and the person you're becoming, that's where a lot of people get lost in recovery. Not because they're weak, because nobody told them this was coming. The meetings talk about staying sober. The steps talk about making amends. But very few people talk about what happens after, when the dust settles, when you're standing in your own life, looking around, not quite sure what to do with all this space. That's what this is about. Not sobriety, what you build with it. Here's the thing about identity in recovery. You can't go back, even if you wanted to. Maybe you've tried. Maybe you went back to old friends, old routines, old habits that had nothing to do with using, and something just felt off, like wearing a coat that no longer fits. That dissonance is real. It's not nostalgia playing tricks. It's you, changed. And change, even good change, can feel like grief, because you are grieving. You're grieving the version of yourself you thought you'd always be. The social one, the fun one, the one who didn't have to think this hard about every decision. That grief is legitimate. You don't have to pretend it isn't there. But here's the reframe. I want you to sit with it. That old identity, it wasn't just who you were. It was, in part, who the addiction made you. The all or nothing thinking, the impulsiveness, the way you related to risk, to pleasure, to pain. Addiction shapes you over time. It becomes part of how you see yourself. So letting it go isn't just quitting a substance. It's dismantling a whole way of being in the world. That's massive. The real battle isn't just getting sober. It's figuring out who you are when you are. And I want you to know something. The fact that the old version of you feels gone, that's not loss. That's proof you've actually changed. The question now is, who are you putting in its place? Before we go deeper, if you ever felt like recovery took your identity and left you with nothing, drop a comment below. Just say, still building, because I want to know how many of you are exactly here right now. And if this conversation that you've been looking for, please subscribe, because this is what we talk about here. Not just how to stay sober, but how to actually live it. Let's be honest about something. Building a life you love sounds like something on a motivational post. It's vague. It's aspirational. And when you're in recovery, early or not, it can feel completely out of reach. So let's make it concrete. Building a life you love in sobriety isn't about having the perfect career. It's not about getting your relationships back. It's not about becoming some polished, put together version of yourself. It's about alignment. Alignment between who you are now, this new, still forming version of you, in how you actually spend your days. That's it. When what you do starts to reflect who you're becoming, life starts to feel like it belongs to you again. Not because everything is perfect, it won't be, but because you're making choices from a real place, not from fear, not from avoidance, not from the need to escape. And that shift from reacting to choosing is where real purpose lives. Purpose isn't a destination, it's something you find, like a key you've misplaced. Purpose is what happens when your actions and your values are in the same place, in the same room, at the same time. You don't have to discover it, you build it slowly. The morning you decide to show up for yourself anyway, the conversation you stay present for, the boundary you hold even when it costs you, those are purpose. Not the big moments, the small, consistent ones. That's the life you're building, whether it feels like it yet or not. So what does this actually look like day to day? I want to give you 3 anchors. Not a formula. Recovery isn't a one-size-fits-all. But 3 places to start when everything still feels uncertain. The first anchor is values. Not goals, values. Goals are about outcomes, what you want to achieve. Values are about direction, how you want to move through the world. And in recovery, especially, values are more useful than goals because your life is still shifting. Plans change, timelines move, but values stay. Don't ask, who do I want to be? Ask, how do I want to show up? Honest, present, curious, courageous, pick one. Just one for now. And at the end of the day, ask yourself, was it in the room today? Not perfectly, just was there a moment where I showed up that way? That's the practice. The second anchor is micro purpose. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. That's another thing recovery culture sometimes gets wrong. This idea that you need a big mission, a story to tell, a reason that justifies everything you went through. You don't. Micro purpose is smaller. It's, I made someone laugh today. I showed up to work even though it was hard. I called my mom back. I stayed. Those things matter. They are purpose. And when you start stringing them together, day after day after day, they become life. That's how it works. Not in a single revelation, in 100 small decisions. The third anchor is community. Not just your recovery community, though that's part of it. I mean people who reflect back the version of you that you're trying to become. There's a reason who you spend time with matters so much in sober living. It's not just about avoiding triggers. It's about identity. We are, in part, who the people we surround ourselves with. Find the people who see the sober you, the real you, the you that's still being built. Spend time there. Those 3, values, micro-purpose, community, they won't build your life overnight, but they'll give you somewhere to stand while you're figuring the rest out. Here's what I want to leave you with. There will be a moment, and I can't tell you when because it's different for everyone, where it clicks, where you look at your life and think, I built this. Not perfectly, not the way I planned, but I built it, and it's mine. That moment doesn't come from achieving something. It comes from accumulation, from all the small, unglamorous choices stacking up, until one day there's enough of them that they start to feel like a person, your person, the version of you sitting with this right now, Whether you're 3 months sober or 3 years, you are already building that life. Even when it doesn't feel like it, especially when it doesn't feel like it. The chaos you came from isn't who you are. It's where you started. And purpose, real lasting purpose, is built in the distance between where you started and where you're choosing to go. You're already on your way. Don't stop. If you're in this space right now, trying to figure out who you are in sobriety, what your life is supposed to look like, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment. Tell me where you are in this. Not because I have all the answers, but because this conversation matters. And you shouldn't be building in silence. If this episode landed, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.